Hi, my name is Kagolo Firidaus, and I'm here to take you through the generations of computers. You can say the history of computers and its generations, the evolution of the Intel time was 86 and the ARM architectures. Before I go any further, I'm going to start by defining what a computer is. Before, a computer was a person who could do mathematical calculations, but as time went by, a computer became an electronic device which accepts data, processes it, and gives meaningful information as output to the user. In other words, you can say a computer is an electronic device that inputs data, processes it, stores it, and outputs information. The development of computers is divided into many generations, but for me, I'm going to take you through the first six generations. How did it all happen? Where did it start from? And where is it as of now? Well, we can go to the first generation. The first generation was between the year 1946 and the year 1959. It was introduced in the year 1946, and the computers of the first generation used vacuum tubes as the CPU. Computers used low level language for programming. You can call it machine language. Computers were very large in size. They were of the room size. They were very big, as you can say they were not portable. You couldn't move with the computer like anywhere. Meaning, if you wanted to use a computer in the first generation, you could go to the place where the computer is, but you couldn't have it at your home. You could go to where the computer was developed from, was built from, and you can access it. And the examples of these computers were the Univac, the Edivac, the ENIAC, and the input devices like the punched cards, magnetic tapes. The operation speed of these computers in the first generation was calculated in milliseconds. That is to say, the computers were very slow. Now we can go to the second generation of 1959 and 1965. Computers used transistors as CPU. Assembly language was used for programming. Computers were smaller than those of the first generation. Well, they weren't small that you could move with them, but they were a bit smaller, as you can say. The operation speed was now calculated in microseconds. That is to say, they were a bit faster than those of the first generation. Computers used magnetic tape and core as primary storage and magnetic disks for secondary storage. Examples of these computers were the IBM 1401 and the IBM 1920. Now, the third generation. The third generation was between the year 1965 and the year 1971, and computers of this generation were very much reduced in size here. Computers used high level language for programming. Operation speed was calculated in nanoseconds. You can see the progress from micro to nanoseconds. Computers used integrated circuits, which contains thousands of transistors on a silicon chip. Now, the first generation used the vacuum tubes, now the transistors, but here we are using the integrated circuits. And examples of the computers of the third generation included the IBM 360 series, CDC, and the CDC 1700. Well, I go to the fourth generation. The fourth generation of 1971 up to a later date. Computers used microprocessors, and you can say that we are still using these computers. Yeah, we are still using these computers. Now we can say that the fourth generation was between the year 1971 up to date. These computers used high level languages like the C++, and mentioned. The computational speed increased to picoseconds. you can see the progress. Computers were more smaller, more faster, and more reliable. Examples of these computers are the Apple 11, the Cray 1, and the BMPC, the tablets, and among others. Now, we can go to the fifth generation. And computers of this fifth generation, that they are based on the technique of artificial intelligence. Actually, they are known to what we are in the fifth generation, and millions of transistors on a single microchip. The parallel processing method, like, use two or more microchips to run tasks simultaneously. Computers are portable and small in size and have a huge storage capacity. Examples of these computers are the desktops, laptops, smartphones, tablets, um, iPads, iPhones. You can mention. Now, the sixth generation. These computers are called intelligent computers based on artificial brains, all artificial intelligence. You can say the AIs. Computers are different from other generations in terms of size, speed, tasks they perform. Use semiconductors as the raw materials to its processors. Now, I told you I'm going to take you through the first six generations, and that those were the generations. Now we can go to the revolution of the Intel time was 86 architecture. It was based on Intel's 8086 microprocessor and its 8088 variant, which was released in 1979. The time was 86 is an Intel CPU architecture used to denote the microprocessor family released after the original 8086 processor. At first, it was a 16-bit instruction set for 16-bit processors in 1978. By later, it grew to a 32-bit instruction set. The success of the 8086 and 8088 CPUs is what made not only Intel's dominance in computing but also the prevalence of time was 86 ISA. As consumer, business, and enterprise demand for computers grew from the 1990s onwards, Intel grew in size and the complexity of the time was 86 CPUs. Intel attempted to expand time was 86 to other areas such as mobile phones for many years. Intel had been particularly focused on breaking into smartphones market, which has been traditionally dominant by the ARM, but eventually failed. Now, the revolution of the ARM architecture. In the beginning, it was known as Ecom Risk Machine. It was developed at Ecom Computer Limited of Cambridge, England between the 1983 and 1985. ARM RISC architecture was inspired to make smaller chips with better performance. We are all familiar with the ARM in mobile devices, but they are more capable than that. ARM processors are integrated as a system on chip SoCs. They are highly compact and low energy consumption with lower heat production. In 2010, ARM Holdings reported shipments of approximately 6,100 million ARM-based processors of digital TVs and set-top boxes, 95% of smartphones, and 10% mobile computers. As of 2014, ARM is the most widely used 32-bit instruction set architecture in terms of quantity produced. Since ARM had no integral memory management unit, Apple collaborated with Econ to develop ARM. The result of this collaboration was that both Econ Group and Apple Company incorporated with 43% share each, and VLSI Technology Incorporated as an investor. A separate company, ARM Limited, was established in the 1990. That was all about the history of computers, and I remain Kagolo Firidaus, a student at Makerere University, year 1. Thank you for your time and everything.